could have as many as 7 new starters. I think at the very least 4. What's this spring been like for you, just to sort of learn the new personnel and what these guys can do?
It's been good. We get good participation from guys, so it gives us a chance to learn about them. They learn about us, and it kind of smooths the transition. So it's been good. We've got good work from the guys. I think the guys that we've added seem to be pretty smart football players, which helps. They're good communicators with the other veterans and the other guys in the room to try to kind of smooth it over. Hey, how do we do things here? How do we do it? Here's how, just to kind of, how it is. You got to try to meld different things. And so I think it's been pretty smooth that way.
How helpful was it that you had a lot of good attendance and most of these guys showed up for it?
It means a lot. I think when you get into situations like this, when you're in the unknown, how do you make it better is you got to be here. And those guys being here really helped because I get a chance to know them. The first time you see them and you get to know them is not under a stressful situation, because sometimes those things can go a little sideways. But this time, now I got a chance to build relationships with them, kind of know them. They know me, they know the other guys, and I think that's really important.
You guys in the secondary have already spoken to this, but when it comes to the versatility that you have now and the depth that you have now, it seems like you have a lot more interchangeable parts, but at the same time, that can also speak to a lot of communication from guys in different positions. You can talk about the intelligence of the group. How have you found that communication to be thus far with a lot of guys playing multiple positions and thinking kind of different concepts at the same time?
Yeah, that's still a work in progress, and that'll be, until we get into camp and really get going, it's going to be a work in progress. But the early returns, I would say, are good. I think I like the collective maturity and intelligence of the secondary, even with the young guys. And a lot of times what I look for in young guys is, what kind of questions are they asking? Are they asking any questions? Because sometimes young guys will kind of sit in the back and won't ask a question. I think our young guys have asked good questions. I think our new guys have asked good questions. And so I think that's all a really good thing. And so that allows us the flexibility to maybe move some guys around and do some different things with them. It'll all pan out as we get, in the season and as it goes. But right now it looks promising.
Could you speak specifically to Joey and guideposts or benchmarks that he would have to hit through camp or through preseason that you say he's ready? Or is there one epiphany moment where you say he's ready? When you bring in a young kid out of corner.
Yeah, I think, having had to play a young corner before, I think the things that I always look for was, obviously you look for the competitiveness, you look for all the good things that, he's out there and he's playing with confidence. But I always look for what's his understanding of his role. So does he understand why we're putting him in here in this particular role right now? If he understands that, then you move towards how's he actually playing it? Is he doing it well? Sometimes guys can understand it but really not play it well because then they won't play it fast. So you look at those two things, and then there's usually a moment where you just go, okay, I think this guy's ready. You're ready to throw him in and understand that you may take some lumps with him at some point, but that he'll grow through those lumps. And I've had that. My first year in the league, we drafted Marcus Trufant, and he ended up starting right off the bat. When I was in Arizona, my next stop, we drafted DRC, and it was the same thing. He started off the season as a third corner, and I think it was about week 6. It got to the point where you said, hey, listen, I think this guy's ready, even though we know there's going to be some growing pains, but he's ready. And like I said, he had a better understanding in 5 or 6 weeks of game action. He had a better understanding. He had a better feel for the NFL game, and it was time to let him go. And I don't know when Joey's time is going to be, but when it comes, I think we'll know.
Tia, you talked about the intelligence level of players, not just in your secondary, but I'm assuming too linebackers and D linemen. When you have so many new pieces coming into a defense, how big of a factor is that intelligence when you're trying to blend all of that together?
I think it always is. And we talk about it, and it's really, a lot of football things. You know, there's sometimes we always like to say, hey, there's those guys that are book smart, and then there's those guys that aren't, you know, street smart or whatever. You know, these guys, when you have the football intelligence and you can understand what we're trying to get done and be able to do that, I think it's important. And I think we do. I think we really have I think we have a really good group in that regards, you know, front to back. And it does. It makes it easier, allows you to do some different things, some things that maybe will throw some other people off schedule, but won't throw us off schedule.
I don't think there's been the turnover in personnel with the defense since you've been here, but in your previous stops, have you faced something like this? And you know, what's the key to getting off to a fast start, even though there are
Yeah, I think I've been a part. I think I was somewhere in 2 years we had 9 new starters. We looked at the tape, or it might have been 1 year. We had 9 new starters on defense, and I think the thing that's key is you have guys that love football and they come in and they figure out how to work together. I don't think there's any magic formula, Ray. I think it's just a matter of guys coming in, getting to work, trying to understand each other, because at the end of the day, football's football. We can't make it any more than it is. And these guys have done it for a long time, and obviously most of them have done it at a pretty high level. And so I don't worry about that. I just worry about, you know, like for me, it's to get to know you, for them to get to know us, to get to know the other players. And I think once you get comfortable that way, that allows you to develop and grow as a player.
Teryl, I don't know if somebody asked you, what does Aaron Curry bring for you guys?
A lot of young juice and a good young coach. I tell you, it's interesting, you know, because he's you know, he's coached outside, he's coached inside, kind of coached around, but really never really had his room. But when I watch him and I watch how he interacts with the guys, he's a lot of good energy. He's really wide-eyed. He's really, you know, he pushes those guys, and he has all the good stuff that I think a good young coach has. He'll develop as a coach as he goes, and his players will develop as well, because I think he's doing all the right things. So I really like what he brings to our room in terms of the juice, the energy, and it's good because we got a couple seasoned vets, and he's a good young addition.
Does it help that that pretty much is all new guys to this system and a new coach as well?
Yeah, they're all kind of going in together. It is. They're all working together. They're kind of, you know, they'll have their growing pains together and all that stuff. But we think when they come out of it, we'll be pretty solid there.
When you guys decided to sign Holcomb and Landon, what was your thinking about where Robinson was coming out of last season at the inside linebacker position? And now that you've seen him back here for a couple weeks, maybe even further along the curve than what you thought at the time?
Well, I think we signed those guys because we knew we had 2 guys that could start, a little different skill set, you know, in that regard, where, you know, E is really a first and second down thumper type of guy. Cole may give you a little bit more flexibility to be able to play every down. And so we like that because we had those guys. We know they've started in the NFL. We know they're capable starters. And we thought that we saw enough from Mark Robb that we could bring him along. Still not, you know, still a work in progress, still probably not quite ready, but really making good strides. I think when you watch him, as I watch him, he's better in communication. He's better in pass coverage. He's better in some of the things where he was hurting on last year. But he's still got a way to go. He still has a ways to go, but he's really working on it. And you see the improvement. And so what you're hoping is, as he continues to improve, that maybe next year he's ready to really compete for that starting job.
How much has Pat Peterson's influence already started to rub off on not just the secondary, but the rest of your defense? And what kind of an influence is that when you have a guy of that caliber?
Yeah, I think, you know, Pat's thing is I think, you know, a lot of times when guys come to a new team, they want to, you know, hey, here's how I've done it here, here's how I do it, here's how you should do it. And I don't think that's Pat P's mindset. His mindset is, hey, how do we help this team here? How we do it here. And I think he's really been beneficial that way, you know, because he's shown that he wants to learn our way, but he also can bring some valuable information, some valuable insight from where his previous stops and how he's done it. So he's been really good for guys around here. I I enjoy being around him.
Where were you when you had the 9 new starters? How long ago was that?
That would have been probably in the year in Seattle, 2005. It might have been the year we went to the Super Bowl. And so it was, I think we had, when I looked at it, I think we played the Rams in the third game, and I looked on the field because Lofa was a rookie, I think, and we had a bunch of new starters. I think it was 8 or 9, and so it was quite a few. It was we had quite a turnover.
Anything else? Good?
So,
All right.
all right,
Thanks,
guys.
everybody.